got a little bad picture here, but that's all right. I'll just do my video this way. All right. Anyways, I wanted to go on real quick, y'all, and kind of recover some stuff here, man, on some of the things that I saw in that vision. And so I'm just updating it right now. I'm in my car and I don't have my equipment, so we're just going like it is right now, live. Anyways, so the vision that I had is has to do with I saw a. I'm just applying some of the techniques that John Paul Jackson teaches in his Dreams and Vision course about the vision I had this morning. I had a vision of a ocean that was really, really large. It was a massive, large ocean, and it was blue, but the blue was no ocean is that blue. It's like a different type of blue, and its texture was even different. And I knew, like in the Bible, in the book of Daniel, it says that talks about the ocean represented people, represented a sea of people. In the vision that I had, I recognized I didn't even thought about that. I knew that applied in the vision while I was having it. I knew that sea represented an ocean of people. And there was a Russian warship there, and one of the type that has the airport like pad on it, the type you can shoot off planes and stuff on. Anyways, but they weren't there. But it was to me, it was the biggest ship I'd ever seen before. Okay, and so I'm revisiting this because I realized that. John Paul Jackson talks about how that when you interpret a vision or a dream, and I took his course and paid for it like $140 and took it. And, and then you take the little test and everything, the exam, and you got to get a certain amount of them right. And I did that. And it's a good course, by the way. John Paul Jackson's course is awesome on dreams and visions. But he talks about figure out what the main focus is of the vision. And then also how he talked about that in visions and dreams, you don't go by logic. It's not objective thinking, it's subjective thinking. What do you feel about it? And so in that vision, I felt like more about the ocean and the blueness of the ocean than I did about the Russian submarine. Not submarine. It wasn't a submarine. No. I've had visions like that, but this is not one. This is a ship. And I realized that the main focus of the vision was the ocean, not the ship. And you say, really? Yeah. And that's what John Paul teaches, is that you need to figure out what is the main subject, because everything else is surrounding that subject. And then, so you've got to figure out the main focuses and the main subject of a vision or dream to figure out the meaning of it. And based upon what John Paul Jackson was saying, the main focus in this vision was this ocean. That was a sea of people, and it was a different blue, which is Revelation. And it was a blue that I'd never seen before. And the reason I believe it was that way is the Lord was trying to get my attention to look at the ocean. It was a different texture. It was totally different than what an ocean has in texture and everything. So it was just totally different. That's what I can say it was. And so I believe that this is speaking about Revelation exposing, if I'm correct, I think it has to do with Revelation and exposing major stuff going on with Russia. And it had like a hangar on it. Now those jets weren't there, and some of those jets, those places can have like 4 or 5 the size that this military boat ship had on it. You could have like 4 or 5 jets on that thing, but they were all gone. So what were they doing? Why weren't they on the ship in this vision? That's another thing. Why were they not there? I thought that was very interesting. I would have to be thinking they were doing something. I think that they were involved in something. I think that they weren't where they were not, they were gone. Okay. So maybe reconnaissance, maybe espionage, maybe, yeah, right? So I keep speaking in tongues sometimes when I'm talking, not literally, but my little slur or something there. Anyways, old boxing or something comes up once in a while, boxing injury. But anyways, so that's what I saw, and I just wanted to revisit that. That I think that the focus of the vision is the revelation that is going to be manifest about interference, and that it's going to be much deeper and way more vast than people even knew, in conjuncture to some of the things that have just happened and gone down in the United States of America. There's a lot more going on than people are aware, and I think I think we need to pray also about that. And I don't know if it has a literal. I've had visions about a Russian submarine before and China, and I believe that those had to do with the enemy's plan to attack America. And I've had those visions. They're on my website, and some of them go back years. But on this one, the ship was not the main focus. I was surprised that there wasn't any planes on the ship. I noticed that. But the main focus of the vision was the ocean, the sea of blue, and how large and how vast and how big it was. I was like, wow, this is the biggest ocean I've ever seen. And I remember in the vision thinking, like from Daniel, where he says that the Bible literally says that oceans speak of multitudes of people. And for some reason or other, I remembered that while this was happening. And, I may not be hitting it right on all my interpretation of this, but I definitely think that one of the focuses is the revelation knowledge of that will be revealed in conjuncture to this, what's happened here, this malfeasance that's happened here in the United States of America this year. So I think that's what it's talking about. And yes, we may have an actual threat. I've had visions of a Russian submarine before, and I've had visions of situations with China before. I think it's a possibility. We may have more bombings, by the way, as well. That bombing that went off in Nashville, it may be only one of a beginning of more. And I'm not saying that's a clear word from the Lord. It's just something happened the night before that happened that kind of, okay, I was watching an old television series called Scorpion. And in that old television series the night before, I'm watching this old television series called Scorpion, and there's this bomb that somebody planted, and it goes off, and they realized that there was multiple bombs that were planted, and as I watched that at night, I had this feeling, and I didn't pray about it. I was like, man, is there going to be like a bombing? That was the night before. And I was like, is there going to be a bombing? And I didn't seek the Lord or anything about it, but I was just like, it just is weird. Sometimes God speaks supernaturally to me just through, like Jeremiah. He says, go down to the potter's wheel. And he says, look at the potter's wheel, and I'm going to talk to you through a corporeal, natural, temporal thing. I've got a supernatural interpretation for you. So I watched that thing, and honest to God, I was thinking, is there going to be a bombing? Because it just popped out to me in that program called Scorpion. And I just was like, wow. So in that, there were several bombings. So, and again, this is not like I had a vision or a dream. It's just, and I didn't really pray into it much. So, but I'm just telling you, we need to pray. There might be more coming. Okay. There might be more coming. One day, it's a long time ago now, not a long time ago, earlier this year, I had a vision, and I saw these numbers, and I looked it up, and those numbers had to do with literally in the military, they have to do with the number of a person who's an expert in explosions. Okay. And I had that vision, and then there was an explosion down in San Diego. Well, they said it was a fire on a military ship. My buddy, Kevin Ray, who's a military guy, he's like, he says, I think you were right. I think that was an explosion. But the government covered it up because they just want to say it was a fire on a military ship. But I actually got the number. I saw the number of what is actually a code number for people who are experts in like creating bombs and stuff. And my buddy was like, dude, you hit that right on. And that's really weird because I just looked up the number online and what it came up to was explosives. And this was sometime this year that happened. So that, I'm not saying there's going to be more. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I had a feeling the night before, but I did nothing with it. And that's like when you wish you had and you didn't. So that's all you can learn from that one is when you think you're hearing something from the Lord, you might have to step out a little and just tell people. But I also was burned out. I was tired. I didn't feel like doing it. So the next morning I woke up and guess what? Christmas, they're talking about the Nashville thing. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. I watched that thing on that program and I just felt like, hey man, is that Lord speaking to me through that? Which I don't watch stuff and think God's speaking to me all the time. It's just not the way I am. But sometimes there's things like it's emphasized. It's like it's got a spiritual punctuation on it. And I felt like there was a spiritual punctuation in watching this program called Scorpion when this bombing. And I thought, man, is the Lord speaking to me through this? And I'm like, well, I haven't prayed. It's late at night. I want to go to sleep. And the next morning I woke up and there it was. So anyways, what can you say about that? You can just say that timing is important in the supernatural. That's all you can say about that. But anyways, all right. So God bless you all. So that's what I do have to say about that right there. The ocean is also symbolic of the subconscious. Yeah, it may be, and I appreciate that. Thank you for that. But when I had the vision, it was very, very clear to me. I remember my thoughts in the vision was, the ocean represents multitudes of people. And I remember thinking this ocean is very large, larger than an ocean I've ever seen. And it's bluer than any blue I've ever seen, an ocean. And I remember thinking that. Okay, come on in. It's open, honey. It's open. Okay, anyways. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to come back on here and talk a little about that. And is just that, I already know what it meant. That part I'm not asking for interpretation on. I appreciate the thought though, but I'm not, because I remember in the vision that in the vision, it was shown to me clearly. I get like downloads when I'm having visions, and this is not a dream. This is a vision. These are like waking experiences that I was looking at this and remember clearly going, oh, oceans mean multitudes of people, and also oceans blue speaks of revelation. And I remember that in the vision, thinking that like it's a part of the experience. So I know that the blue was speaking of revelation. I know that the blue was speaking of multitudes of people. I know that as a fact. And I know that the ship, I believe, was either speaking literally of something that could happen, but there's more than one thing happening in this vision. Just like there's more things happening in a movie than just one thing. There can be more than one thing going on. The ship definitely was I remember it because I don't know military, so I asked the question, what type of ship is this? And I was given the revelation automatically. This is a Russian ship. Okay, so when I have visions, that's how it happens with me. I'm like, just sitting, waiting on the Lord, and just waiting on God, not asleep, and just waiting, and I'll have a vision. And I tried waiting on the Lord the day before for visions for like hours, and I never got anything on the time that I waited, not a single thing. And then this morning I got two visions from the Lord, and had two visions from the Lord this morning. But the one was about what I just shared. What I saw was, and I'll explain this real quick and closing up. Okay, so like the first letter in the Hebrew, Aleph, okay? It means like an ox's head. It means strong. It means leader. It can mean the head of the house. It can be a government leader. So that's the word aleph, and I'm trying to explain something. See, God's language is pictorial. Each of the Hebrewic letters are a picture, and they have a numeric value. So the letters in the Hebrew, and they have a numeric value. But you see, they can have the aleph, which is an ox's head, can have more than one meaning. It can mean strong. It can be a leader. Leaders can be weak, right? So it can be strong, it can be a leader, it can be a head, like the head of the house. A man is the head of the house, Christ is the head of the church. See, so it can have more than one meaning. And so God's trying to teach us about understanding visions and dreams by I'm starting off with the letter aleph, which is the Semitic language, okay? And so in the Semitic languages, whether it's Sumerian or whether it's Hebrew, which is a Semitic language, Aramaic, okay? They say the thou and the tau, and then there's the alpha and the omega. But the aleph is what we get our A from. Looks like our A, but it really comes from the ox head, and it can also just mean an ox. Okay, so how do you know in a vision? You have to pray into what you see. So this is going to what I saw one time. I had a very radical supernatural experience, similar to that, honestly, of something like Elijah or something. It's the craziest experience in the world. I have to say that, not to say anything about myself, because it's about God. He's the one who's radical. It was just, for me, it blew me away. But I had this incredible supernatural experience. Something that every time I think about it, I've got to think like it's like that which like Elijah or Ezekiel had. It was just crazy. And in this vision, all of a sudden, the supernatural opened up to me, and it seemed like thousands of pictures were flashing in front of my eyes, and they were being almost like they were being shot out of a machine gun. And each picture was a symbol, and I couldn't understand what was going on in all of it at the same time. And I've had two experiences like that. The other one was like where I saw the hand of God, and he was pouring numbers out. He was pouring numbers out, and he was showing me that numbers have significant meaning. So he was pouring these numbers, and I think they were like gold out of this white bag that had like a string around it to open and close it. So the Lord was saying to me, John, I was speaking to numbers. One of the numbers that the Lord's been speaking to me right now is 444, and that is God's creative work in the earth. So I believe that God is doing something in the earth right now. It may even have to do with the situation with Trump. I've been seeing that God's creative work, 444. And then also I've been seeing 555, which is God's grace. It's the unity of the Spirit, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, God's grace. Also been seeing 1212, which has to do with government. And those are pretty obvious, but numbers have significant meanings. Okay, numbers have significant meanings, and those are things that I've seen. And so anyways, the point is that I saw in this one vision all these Hebrewic, like they were like Aramaic. I didn't know what they were whenever this happened, but they were all these letters that now I believe they were like Aramaic, and they were written like in gold, and in this vision that I had. So I started looking and started studying the Hebrew. That's where I have the knowledge that I'm sharing right now, is because I realized that the vision that I had was of all these symbols. The vision I had was of all these symbols, okay? Of all these symbols. And so each symbol has a meaning, and you have to pray and ask God what those meanings are. You can't just say, okay, the aleph, the ox head, always means an ox head, or always means a head like a leader, or a head like the top person. He's the head of the company, leader, strong. It doesn't always mean that, okay? Even one of the names, I forget what it is right now. It's El, and it's God, and he's like the mighty, the strong one. So the point is that when you have a vision or a dream, each symbol has a significance. It's important how you see and understand that. So that's something the Lord showed me, because I saw the hand of God, and he poured numbers from it, and he told me, I'm going to speak to you through numbers. So I've studied that. The other thing is, he's showed me in that one supernatural, incredible experience, and trust me, it was the most crazy thing in the world. I was like shocked by the experience. I was literally shocked by the experience. And while it was happening, it was blowing my mind. And what the Lord showed me is, John, I'm like, why did I see all these different pictures flashing before me? And the Lord said that this is the language of the supernatural. This is the language of the supernatural. Visions and dreams are my language, and I want you to learn how to speak my language. So As I'm sharing this, I do have understanding. God has blessed me. My first name is John. Okay, John, the Revelator. My middle name is Joseph, the Dreamer. God has appeared to me to teach me about numbers and about interpreting dreams. And he's showed me incredible stuff about dreams. So understand something. Don't just take a symbol and make it say one thing, because a symbol like the Aleph, okay, you carry the Alpha, the Mega, or the Thou and the Tau, however you want to say it. Those terms that can mean, it can mean an ox, just a ox. It can mean strong. It can mean leader. It can mean the head of a company. See, it depends that you pray. Okay, and so that's why I'm kind of just talking. I shared that a little bit today, a little teaching there, maybe a little nugget for you on learning about interpreting dreams and visions. They're very subjective, how you feel about it. So I know how I felt about it. Nobody else can tell me, but dreams are subjective. Okay, and so I'm just sharing what I saw, and I'm going to get off. My wife's here, and I didn't plan on doing a long video. Okay, so I'll talk to y'all later. See y'all later. Hope the video sounds good. I don't know. I can't tell. Amen. Hey, do any of you guys remember the vision I had of the number 76? Do any of you guys remember that? Years ago, the number 76. Any of you guys remember that? Isn't that funny? That's very significant in history, isn't it? Anyways, based upon what's going on right now. Okay, God bless you all, and I'll see you later. Okay, bye-bye.